Hi guys, hi, it's Arsh Ellahi. It's Sunday, the 12th of May, 2019. And tonight we're going to be talking about we're going to be holding a session on how to do not become a one-trick pony, how to learn all the property strategies and decide what works for you. We're live on Facebook, we're actually live on Instagram as well. So we're live across a few different social media platforms. So just want to say a quick hello. If you can, let me know that you're listening live. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, say hey, give us a like, give us a share. If you're on the webinar, just give us a quick hello. That'd be fantastic. Hi, Frankie. So, okay, so let's get moving on. Today's going to be a little bit of a different session, a little bit fatigued for the guys that have been following me on the emails that we send out. I've completed a 100-mile bike ride today. So it's part of I think it's called the Velo 100. So hi Ruth. So and completed the whole 100 miles. Even though I've not really trained, the maximum I got up to whilst training was 20 miles, just purely because of time and different commitments. So I wasn't really able to commit as much time as I wanted to, but I completed it. So we're going to be talking about that as well shortly. So let's get moving forward. First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time this evening. Time is the most precious commodity, and I guarantee that this will be one of the best investments that you make. So what we're going to be covering, so we're going to be online for between 60 and 90 minutes. And there's four main points I want to cover. First one is how to find below market value properties, how to appraise properties to add value, because it's great at finding them, but what are you going to do with them? How are you going to add the value? We're going to look at all the different property strategies as an overview. So having a look on what are all the different property strategies? How can we employ them so that every time you look at a property, you'll be able to say, well, okay, I might not be able to buy it below market value. However, I believe by understanding the vendor's pain and motivation, that we may be able to acquire it with a different strategy. And more importantly, one of the main reasons why I believe most people are here tonight is not to hear me speak, because let's face it, they probably can hear me speak pretty much every day of the week. But there's a young lady that I'd like to meet. It's very rare that she makes a public appearance. Her name's Mrs. E, which is Mrs. Ellahi. She's going to be talking to you about how she decided to get started. No money and no experience. So she's going to come online. She's going to take us through her journey as well. So why should you listen to me? First of all, I'm a best-selling author. I have a book called Boom Bust and Back Again. As the title suggests, it's never always been an easy journey. I've seen some good times, seen some bad times. I'm back to tell the tale. I'm a monthly columnist of two very well-known UK property magazines. So it's YPN, which is Your Property Network, and the HMO magazine. You could say that I'm a bit of a property veteran who has survived the brink of bust of recession. And I've started a dual trading business when I was 20 years old on a shoestring budget. And I made a massive amount of money within a very short space of time. So I'm not just one of these people who have been on a workshop last week, regurgitated some of the info that they've probably received, and as a result now running workshops for themselves. Everything that I talk about is stuff that I've done and implemented myself. And then finally, one thing that I will say is that I'm a property investment trainer, and I'm a mentor that has helped hundreds of people achieve financial freedom. So one thing I do want to say is that first and foremost, I am a property investor. In 2017, bought approximately 50 properties for my own portfolio. 2018, bought an additional 20 for my own portfolio. So if you look at that alone, that's 70 properties over a 2-year period. I would say a very high percentage of property investors don't buy that amount of property for their portfolio throughout their whole journey. But we keep going. 2019 for me was more so about developing properties. So going back into development, where we either put them up for sale or retain for rental. So our first aim, our first goal is try to sell them. And if they don't sell for whatever reason, the market turns, or we find that they're not getting the traction that we would desire, we'll retain them for our portfolio. Sorry guys, I've just got this niggling cough that I've had for a couple of weeks, trying to get a shift of it. So what are your property goals for 2019? Let's get through all the basic stuff. What's your reason why? Do you want to quit your job? Are you looking to make property pay for luxuries such as, cars, holidays, clothes, upgrade a few things around the house? It could be absolutely anything. Could it be to get your kids onto a property ladder? Could it be to get your kids through university? The list could go on, because property has the ability to do all those plus a lot more. And I'm very grateful to be in a position where property has given me so much and allowed me to do so much. But the first thing that I ask everyone, and I put this on pretty much every slide for most presentations, because success looks like different things for all different people. So it could be a monetary value. So success could be that I want to generate, let's say for argument's sake, £3,000 a month, £5,000 a month, £10,000 a month, or it could be something else. So success looks like that. I want to buy a certain amount of properties this year. I want to acquire a certain amount by this strategy. So the most important question that I ask always is that, okay, we've got a goal that you want to hit a certain amount of cash flow per month. Now, what are you going to do to get there? What is the strategy? Because having a goal is one thing. The most important thing is to create the strategy and being able to understand how you can implement it so that you can do this on a day-to-day basis. Now, on the webinar, I've got a slide up because I believe you've got the main goal, which is to potentially become financial freedom. And then what does financial freedom look like? So you break it down. So I want to get 2019, let's just say for argument's sake, I want to acquire 12 properties, which is one a month. So that's the sub goal. So now we have to create a mini goal. What does that, how do we start with that? So the mini goal is that we're going to create, we're going to acquire one property a month. Then we break it down into weekly plans. How many people we're going to call, how many offers we're going to make, how many viewings we're going to do, where we're going to apply them, how many offers we're going to make, how many follow-ups we're going to do. And you've got to keep a track of that so that you can see how realistic your goal is. Because if you want to acquire 12 properties a year, that means technically speaking, you've got to view more than 12 properties, because not every property that you see is going to be the one that you acquire. For various reasons, they may not be able to accept your offer. They need, they need more than what you can offer. They may not accept your second. So in that respect, the property may not suit your requirements. If you're running it as a HMO, chances are that they're going to say the property may not lend itself towards a HMO. So these are all goals that you've got to set in place. And one thing I'd say is that if you take nothing else away from the session, is that you start creating these goals, and you'll be able to adapt them as we go along. So I want to acquire 12 properties in a year. So this week, I'm going to call 30 landlords. I'm going to call 5 estate agents. I'm going to view 10 properties. I'm going to make 10 offers. And as a result, you'll start to see that in actual fact, your plan is working. As a result of viewing, you put the offers in. As a result of offering, you then do the follow-ups. As a result of doing the follow-ups, you see where you are, what you're doing, and what you're going to be moving on with. So I'm a big fan of belief and action. Now, if anything of today proves anything, is that I'm a big action taker. Our beliefs shape our actions. If we believe it's impossible to find deals, then we are likely to act in a way that confirms this. If we believe it's possible to find deals, then our actions will prove we can. Tonight, I'm going to prove that you can find deals direct to your owner in any town from the comfort of your sofa. Tonight, I'm going to show you a sourcing technique that you can use tomorrow. Now, we all get scared. There's a fear of failure or a fear of success that stops you from grabbing the success that you deserve. However, the one thing that I find is that with a big enough why, you can overcome any how. Does that make sense? So my why is very simple. I've got a very lovely wife. Her name's Shireen. She's coming online shortly. I've got two very young children. They're 5 and 4. So my why is very simple. Now, I've set my goals from day one. My goals are that I want to retire on the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Very specific, because I've structured lots of things in place to make sure that all my portfolio is completely debt-free on the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 and 59 seconds. The moment it hits midnight and we reach the 12th of November, I actually turn 45. And that's the day that I retire. What I do from that point on is not sure yet. However, I've created the goal, I've put the actions in place, I've done all the mini steps to make sure that everything happens. So how badly do you want it? Because there's one thing saying I'd like to acquire 12 properties a year, which is a great target, by the way. One a month is very achievable if you put it in the desired action. So let's talk about action, because today showed, if anything, I'm a big believer in action. I've cycled 100 miles today. That's right, on my bike, in one day. No, I'm not crazy. And yet, I know that you don't like to drive that far, because I set myself crazy challenges, because I've got lots of property goals. I've already ticked off lots of property goals. I want to make sure that I still keep young. I still have that desire to do more, whether it be in property or whether it be in life. So I want to make sure that I maintain fit. The reason why I maintain fit is so that I still remain attracted to my wife, the way that I make sure that my mind keeps working. And so what I do is that I throw myself, I'm not the kind of person that I can go to the gym every day. It gets boring, gets laborious, and I don't go. So I set myself challenges, the challenge being the 100-mile bike ride. Last year I did the London Marathon. And so in order for me to do these events, that means that I have to train. So that means that I have to put the work in. And there's a picture of me running the London Marathon. And there's a picture of me completed the London Marathon with my medal on. Now, to run 26.2 miles, it would have taken over 1,000 miles of training to reach the pinnacle point. Now, I said that this is a little bit different because the bike ride, I didn't actually get past 20 miles. However, the one thing that I have got is this massive belief that I can do anything that we put my mind to. And my wife will clarify that later. If I say we're doing something, I'm going to make sure that I move heaven and earth to get it done. At the start of the year, I said to her that I would like a second property in the UK to use as a holiday home, and she's going to discuss through that process with you. Your body can stand almost anything. It's your mind that you have to convince. Like today, there's so many times that I wanted to quit the bike ride. I don't like riding the bike. I sped through 0 to 20 miles. 20 to 40 miles was horrible. 40 to 60 miles, I started to question myself. 60 to 80 miles, I really struggled. 80 to 100, I cruised home. Every time I broke it down to baby steps. I said that we are finishing this one way or another. Unless your legs fall off, we're completing the challenge. And that gives you a bit, that just gives you a bit of an insight as to how my mind works. We're not, and that's the same with property. If I have got it set that we're going to do a certain thing with property, I'm going to move heaven and earth to make sure that that property is acquired. So have you ever told yourself this? Deals do not exist in my area. No one will sell me their property below market value. Why would someone give me their property for me to make all the cash flow? It doesn't make sense. So guys, if you can, does that kind of resonate with you? Have you always asked yourself that question? Now, I say this to my mentees all the time. Don't worry about what they say. Tell them what you want to do. As a result of telling them what you want to do, you're going to tell them how you're going to make it happen and how you're going to create a real win-win scenario. Now, Bhavni, who's on Facebook, he says mindset is absolutely everything. And I want to reiterate that for this webinar. Mindset is the most important thing, because we can learn everything in the whole wide world. But if we don't believe that we can do it, or if we don't implement the stuff that we've learned, everything is irrelevant. So deals do not exist in my area. I hear this from London investors, London people that live in London, deal sources in London. Deals do not exist in my area. It's crazy, because I laugh when I hear stuff like this, because I walk, well, when I say I walk into London, I can pick up the phone to agents in London, can pick up the phone to landlords in London. I can pretty much get a deal done of between, circa 15 to 25% in London. So there's a 2-bedroom flat that I recently, when I say recently acquired, we packaged it and we sold it actually in London at 25%. Now, Jen has asked, how do you acquire that mindset? Now, Jen, that's a great question. Sorry, I know that we've gone slightly off topic here, but it's a fantastic question, because, Jen, it's not a case of learning that mindset. It's just about being around the right people. You may be around people that say, Jen, you're not going to find a flat in London for 25% below market value. Don't even bother looking. And you know what you're going to say? Yeah, you know what? It's right. When I told people that I was doing a 100-mile bike ride and I hadn't really trained, they thought I was crazy and said, Arsh, you know what, defer it and do it next year. I said, you know what, I'll call you at the end of the day when I've got my medal in my hand. So I'll call you at the end of the day when I've got my medal in my hand. So, hey, Leroy also did it and he did it in fantastic time. So no one will sell me their property below market value. It's crazy. Because I find, on average, 500 properties all around the UK, all below market value. Why would someone give me their property to make all the cash flow? And what it comes down to is that you're not actually positioning yourself as the go-to person. You're not creating yourself as the authority. So in actual fact, going back to your question, Jen, you need to say, well, in actual fact, they should be giving me their property to make all the cash flow. They will allow me to buy their property below market value, because I'm going to make a proposal or an offer that works and creates a real win-win scenario. So let's keep moving on. I'm going to create a challenge for everyone. It's called the 30 deals in 30 days. So I'm doing a 30 deals in 30-day challenge. It starts on Monday, the 3rd of June. So I'm going to be telling you about that a little bit later on. And I'm going to show you how to acquire property with none of your money, none of your own money. So we're going to talk about deal sourcing, deal trading, and then we're going to go on to how all the different strategies allow you to deal source and deal trade effectively. So in deal trading, there's 3 things. Now, on my screen here, we've got 3 people involved. We've got the owner, they're the person selling the property. Okay, so sorry, a question's coming from Vinny online. He goes, can you go through the cash flows that you need to buy a property per month? Is your strategy buying below market value and the discount acts as your deposit? Also, do you know that you're getting, how do you know that you're getting a deal below market value, if that makes sense? Vinny, great question. Okay, so let me just break that down. Sorry, I'll answer this now because it seems quite a valid point. So if you're buying the property below market value and the discount acts as your deposit, unfortunately, that you can't do that. You can't actually do that because that will be termed as a gifted deposit. Now, if you're using a mortgage to buy the property, traditional lenders won't allow that. So, and I wouldn't suggest that you do that. There are other ways that you can do that. So I'll just give you a bit of an insight. So there's this thing called open term bridging. So you can bridge the property if you're buying the property below market value, well enough below market value. They will bridge against the open market value. So give me an example here. If the market value is 100,000 and you're buying it for circa 70 because Vinny's done a fantastic deal on negotiating a deal. So he's buying it at 70, it's worth 100. Now, there are open market bridging companies that will lend against the 100,000. So they'll lend you the full amount to acquire the property. And when you to exit the bridge in 6 months' time, once you've demonstrated that you've owned the property for 6 months, you could then go to someone like Birmingham Midshire, Shawbrook, all the other mortgage lenders, traditional mortgage lenders. Say, guys, I've owned the property for 6 months. Now I want to lend against the open market value. They will then come in and they will lend you 75% of the open market value. Bear in mind that it's 100 grand. And as a result, they will then lend you 75, which means that you then pay the original bridging company back their 70 grand. And it's covered all your costs as well. So Vinny, there's loads of ways that you can do it. So don't panic. We've got lots and lots and lots. We've got lots of questions coming in. Okay, so Frankie wants to know, how's the best way to find rent-to-rent deals in London? We're finding them every day, Frankie. So we'll come through that as well. Okay, so Jimmy, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. If you make an offer, property which is on the market for 100 grand, how low would you go with your initial offer? So, okay, I'll answer this one and we'll keep moving on. Now, there's no such thing as too low. When I say too low, one thing that you want to do, you want to justify the reason for your offer. So you can't just say that, hi, Mr. Estate Agent, you've got a house on the market for 100 grand, but I'm offering you 50. And the reason why I'm offering you 50 is because I'm a greedy investor and I want 50% of the pie. They're going to say, Mr. Mystery, there's the door. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Does that kind of make sense? What you need to do is in there says that, you know what, you need to say, Mr. Estate Agent, I'm making an offer of 50 grand. However, because I believe the property needs approximately 20 grand of work to put it back, to bring it back up to scratch, and I need to also factor in the profit margin. And therefore, but don't worry, Mr. Estate Agent, because if I acquire the property and I intend to buy and sell back on the open market, guess who I'm going to come to first? I'm going to come to you, Mr. Estate Agent. So not only are you making some money off the owner for selling the property, but also you're making money off me for selling the property again. They're going to get 2 bites of the cherry. So does that kind of make sense? So in actual fact, you're lining their pockets twice. All of a sudden, Mr. Agent thinks, you know what, this actually isn't bad business. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So the traditional broker is that you've got the owner, who's the person that owns the property, the vendor. And then you've got you in the middle. So you've got owner, then you've got you. You're the person that negotiates the deal. And then you package it up. So you might turn around and say, you know what, this property isn't right for me because it doesn't sit within my portfolio or it doesn't sit within the parameters of my investing. And as a result, I'm going to pack it up. I'm going to then sell it to the third party who is an investor on your database. And as a result, the investor pays you a small commission for finding the property, and everyone wins. The vendor wins because he sold the property. You win because you made some money off a property that you don't own or you have got no ambition to acquire. And then finally, the investor wins because there's no way that he would have been able to find that property without your interjection. Does that kind of make sense? So there are still people involved, and think about it, it's exactly the same model as the estate agent. You've got seller, estate agent, buyer. Seller approaches estate agent puts up the open market, and then they put it on Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market, blah, blah, blah. And then as a result, the buyers look on Rightmove, they say, oh, I like that. They call the agent then makes a viewing with the vendor then shows the property around, the buyer then makes the offer through the agent, and it all works. And it's exactly the same. In actual fact, it is literally, you are actually acting as a middleman or as a glorified agent. I believe that property success with every strategy begins with sourcing. If you want to build your own portfolio, or if you want to trade deals, all the roads begin with sourcing. For your property, you've got to find the right property with the right rental demand in the right location. For developments, it all starts with finding the right piece of land in the right location at the right price. You've got to remember that all blocks of flats start off somehow as a piece of land. So the piece of land, you've got to find the right piece of land in the right location. As a result, you've then got to do your due diligence to make sure that you've got enough flats so the gross development value is large enough or great enough in order for it to make that transaction viable. But what is a good deal? So we can have a look at what, why being a property source is such an important skill to have. How else would a property investor in London get to know about a great deal that you've got in Manchester? They wouldn't unless they're actively looking in Manchester. The amount of properties that I've sold in different locations, and some of the investors say, guys, you know what, I didn't even realise that Hull was a fantastic city. So I've got lots of investors all over the world. And they'll say, Arsh, you've sent me this deal out in Hull. I really like it. What can we do with it? And as a result, the way that we package it, I'm hoping that for the guys that have all the guys that are on the webinar will receive the emails that we put out pretty much every day. So as a result, you see the way that we propose it, and as a result, there'll be an investor. Let's just say we sold one recently, a property in Doncaster, to an investor in Australia. That's crazy. But unless he was actually looking for a property in Hull, where would the investor in Australia be able to find that? It can only come from you. And so therefore you should be paid for your work because that's what you're worth. How else would agents be able to sell their hard to sell properties? Now it's worth noting that investors take calculated risks, unlike homeowners. So let's just imagine a new young couple, 20, 25 years old, simply after somewhere to live. And let's just imagine that there's a house with a massive crack running down the back of it. Do you reckon they're going to want to buy that property? They're thinking, no, we're staying away for that one because we haven't got the funds to buy it outright. We haven't got the funds to put it right. And we just want somewhere to live. Investors make calculated risks. They'll look at it and say, yeah, okay, we understand there's a crack in the back. This is how we're going to make money from it. And again, estate agents love you because you can bring that service to the table. Finally, how would distressed sellers be able to solve their problems without problem solvers like us? And that's the way that I look at us. We are problem solvers. So this is what you've been waiting for. So what strategy do we employ? So I've got up on screen at the moment 6 strategies. So we've got below market value. We've got rent to rent. We've got lease option. We've got serviced accommodation, we've got developments, and we've got commercial to residential. They're the 6 main strategies which all property investors in the know are using on a day-to-day basis. So what we're going to do, remember, you don't have to just use one. Remember we talked at the start, the property investors that are doing well out of property are the ones that are using a multiple number of strategies at any one point. I can give you an example of deal after deal after deal. So one day they may be looking at a block of flats, which will be, they're looking to acquire below market value. Tomorrow they may be speaking to a landlord who's looking to do a rent-to-rent deal. The week after, they may be speaking to a landlord looking to do a service accommodation on their property. Week after that, they may be looking with a commercial agent to at a block of office apartments, a block of offices, which they're potentially going to be looking to do as commercial to residential under permitted development. So there's a number of different strategies. So what we'll do, just out of curiosity, do you want me to go through these in well, when I say I can't go through them in great detail because we've got best part of we haven't got a great deal of time, but do you want me to just touch base on what each of the strategies are? If you can, just click yes or no, just tick yes or just say yes or no, that'd be great. Okay, so straight away Frankie said yeah, please. Okay, so if you can, if you're watching on Facebook, remember, like, share, let people know that we're live. Okay, so everyone said yes, please, let's talk through them. Okay, so below market value, it is that. We've talked about it a short while ago. If the house is worth 100 grand, we want to be able to acquire it below market value. So if it's 100 grand, we want to acquire it below the value of that 100,000 in order for it to be a viable or a commercially viable transaction. Now you determine how low you go. So just bear in mind that most buy-to-let lenders lend up to, and I say up to, well, they lend up to around 85%. However, the majority are around 75%. So normally when I make a below market value offer, it's normally within the region of 75%. And the reason why I do 75%, so if it's worth 100 grand, generally speaking, I'm offering between 70 and 75 grand, because then when I come to refinance in a few months' time or 6 months' time, I can then refinance against the over market value, which will allow me to get my money back out so that I can go again and go again and go again. Does that make sense? Now, rent-to-rent is a completely different animal. So rent-to-rent and lease option are pretty much like grouped together. So with rent-to-rent, it's very, very simple, sorry. So just imagine that I'm the investor and you're the landlord. So I approach you and say, guys, okay, my name's Arsh. I understand that you've got this property. I understand that it's currently vacant. How about if I take the property on a long-term lease? So first we find out what his reasons are and why it's empty, etc., etc. And as a result, you make them say that I'll take the property off you on a long-term lease, whether it be 1, 3, 5, or 7 years, on the basis that you give them a guaranteed rent where you're going to look after the voids, you're going to look after the maintenance, everything, so that that landlord or you guys are going to be completely hassle-free, completely become time-free. So there's lots of benefits for them to do this, because let's face it, if they go to a normal tenants, they're still going to be responsible for phone calls, maintenance, potential letting agents. So you can see all the benefits as to why this works. Just so you know, guys, I've got 45 rent-to-rent properties, and the average one brings in approximately around between £700 and £800 a month cash flow. So you guys do the maths. So with a lease option, it's exactly the same as rent-to-rent. However, we attach the option to purchase with that property. So let's just say that you're the landlord and say, guys, okay, I'll take the property off you, let's say £700 a month for the next 5 years. But within that period, I want to attach the option to purchase, and we agree the price today. So the option price could be, let's say, for argument's sake, 100 grand, which may be the market value today. However, in 7 years' time or 5 years' time, when I come to exercise it, hopefully that property may be worth a little bit more than the 100 grand, which means that I'm then buying it below market value. And as a result, not only am I buying a property below market value, but I would have made all the cash flow from the property over the last 5 years to allow it to fund itself. So this is all quite straightforward. When I say quite straightforward stuff, so Frankie says, where are they all based? So all my rents are all based within the this hour of my office in Wolverhampton. So anything that I invest in, I only look at Wolverhampton or within an hour's perimeter of Wolverhampton. Apologies. So service accommodation is something that we're going to touch on shortly. So don't panic, because the example that Shireen is going to be talking about is going to be the lease option with service accommodation. Now, developments is very simple. So remember what we talked about. So the piece of land, acquiring pieces of land with the potential of adding value. So how do you add value to a piece of land? You potentially get planning permission for it with a view of trying to get development on there. So I'm currently doing a development deal with a landlord at the moment. He's got a piece of land which is currently derelict and vacant. We're trying to appraise it so that we can potentially either do a lease option or below market value deal on it. And the aim is to get that property below market value, generate, get planning permission, so get planning gain on it, and then potentially sell it with the planning gain. Now, finally, commercial to residential is very simple. So there's office blocks all over the country. So I can't go into the detail as to how commercial to residential works, because we need to look at all the legislation that goes around commercial to residential. So if there's office blocks, or if it's got B1 use, which is office, the government allowed you, well, it's been in for quite a few years now, will allow you to convert that property into residential with permitted rights without the need of getting planning permission, but you'll have to put in an application called the prior notification approval. Very straightforward to do, and it costs approximately £80 to do that. There's certain things that you've got to apply, or certain things that you've got to make sure that you adhere to, but it's a great strategy. And as a result, remember, you don't have to acquire the property. Again, you could get an option on the property. You could do a rent-to-rent basis, and as a result, by either using other people's money or using almost like a peer-to-peer lender. So like a best example of using a peer-to-peer lender, so crowdfunding platforms. So you could acquire it on an option, get the planning permission in place, then potentially go off and get peer-to-peer lending. So it means that you're not put any of your own money in. Off the back of that, you then get the funding to develop the flats. Off the back of that, you then build the flats. Off the back of that, you then either sell the flats or refinance. So when you sell or refinance, you then exercise the option with the landlord, which means that he's getting what he got. You've now sold the properties, you've made money from a property that you don't own. Yes, you've not put any of your own money in, because you've acquired it on an option, which means that you haven't bought it. And then finally, you've not used your own money to develop it, because you've done it via the use of a peer-to-peer lender or a crowdfunding platform. Loads of crowdfunding platforms out there. So, question is, sorry guys, I'm just going to quickly open the window. Oh! So, question, would you like to fish? Would you like to fish in a pond, or would you like to fish in the sea? And it's a very straightforward question, because in a pond, there's a limited amount of stock, there's a limited amount of fish, there's a limited amount of things that you can pull out of it. In the sea, it's an untapped resource. And the reason why I say that is because when you're deal sourcing, I prefer to go fishing in the sea than I do in the pond, which means that I can look at hundreds of opportunities all over the UK. All over the UK. So hi Suck, so Suck's just logged in on Facebook. So I go fishing in the sea. The reason why I go fishing in the sea is that one day I could be looking at a property in Hull, tomorrow I could be looking at a property in Wolverhampton, day after I could be looking at a property in London, day after I could be looking at Manchester, day after that I could be looking at Scotland. The UK is my sea. Whereas if I stuck within my pond and where I'm based, Wolverhampton is where I'm based. And if I decided that I was only going to look for stock in Wolverhampton, it gives me a narrow opportunity to find a number of deals. You know, if you go on the HMO register for Wolverhampton, my name is blighted, has blighted pretty much most of the register. Either me or Jim Halliburton. So we've got a large market share of HMOs in Wolverhampton area. So there's only so many more we can do in Wolverhampton, and one of the reasons being it's because it's become an Article 4 location. But we're doing a number of deals all over the country. So the question is, going back to mindset, don't limit yourself to just looking in one area. And going back to the one-trick pony, why are you only looking in Wolverhampton? Does that kind of make sense? You've got to open your parameters so that you're looking everywhere. Now, you might say, well, you know what? I can't effectively do all over the UK. You can if you structure it correctly. And going back to my earlier comment on goals and setting tasks. So this week, you may be concentrating on Manchester. You list how many people you're going to call in Manchester. You're going to look at how many properties you're going to look at in Manchester. After that, you may decide to go to Liverpool, you may decide to go to Wigan, you might decide to go to Bolton. So you don't have to go from one extreme to another. So you don't have to go from Manchester straight down to Bournemouth. Potentially, you could work the whole length and breadth of the country, and you'll never be short of opportunities. And once you've done it once, you go through it again, because guess what, guys? Properties come on the market all the time, pretty much on a day-to-day basis. But this is all stuff that you know. So I want to say to you, don't limit what you can do in the area. So, okay, so Crucia says, how can you source properties everywhere when you're based in London through estate agents? Believe it or not, Crucia, very simple. Now, here's my first, this is very straightforward. I'm hoping that this is stuff. So, okay, so Jen's asked the same question as Frankie. So, guys, I'm going to answer your question in one way. So, you both asked about agents. You can set alerts, email alerts for every property that come up all over the country. So Frankie says that he's based in London. So first of all, Frankie, you choose an area. Let's just say that you choose Birmingham. So first you set your parameter. What are the different style of properties that you're looking for? So you set up your email alerts on Rightmove, and this is straightforward stuff. Set up your email alerts on Rightmove so that every time a new property comes on the market, guess who gets first notification? Frankie and Jen does. And as a result, straight away, Frankie, Jen picks up the phone and said, hi, Mr. Agent, you know what? I've just seen that it's come through. You know what? This is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is how we can help. One thing I will say to you, don't get fixated on price, and we'll talk about price shortly. So remember, we talked about below market value, and if the house is worth 100 grand, you want to offer circa 70 grand. Don't go, you know what, I'm going to offer you 70 grand now, because you know what the agent's going to say? It's only on the market 10 minutes, boom. You know what, I'm going to let it run first and go, boom. Build rapport. Build rapport with the agents. Build rapport with them, telling them who you are, what you do, and how you can work together. This has become quite a deep webinar, guys. So as a deal trader, it allows you to see the best deals first. You don't need any money to get started, just lots of determination. Determination comes back to mindset. Mindset comes back to planning and goals. There is no risk, because guess what, guys? If you don't sell the deal to your investor database, there is no risk. You just say, you know what, Mr. Agent, unfortunately, we haven't been able to find a buyer for it, but don't worry, we'll work on the next one. It gets you fast results as well. So you can sell properties all over the country quickly. You could be negotiating on a number of different deals all over the country. And it's quick and easy to scale because the amount of leads that you're getting on a day-to-day basis. And it's the fastest way to reach your property cash flow goals. Now, I make this sound easy. And the reason why I make it sound easy, if I'm honest, is because it is. Now, I'm gonna probably talk myself down, but I'm not in actual fact. When I say that, I don't believe I'm a clever guy. I believe I'm a streetwise guy. I've got the education of life. I left school with very little education qualifications. However, what I have got is bags of determination. And I've got this mindset that even if they say no, I'm going to say, well, do you mind if I ask why you said no? And too many people are scared of asking why. So I had one of my mentees in the office with me on Thursday. We went to an auction Thursday morning, and in the afternoon, I got him to get on the phone, and I like people taking action. So I got him to get on the phone. So we're going to get a rent-to-rent deal this afternoon. And David, who came to the office, he spoke to the first landlord. And the first landlord says, "Yeah, I'm not interested." And David said, "Okay, thanks for your time. Bye." And admittedly, I got a little bit cross with David. I said to David, "You haven't told him what you do. You haven't told him why you're doing it. You haven't told him the reason for you contacting him. And yet you've hung up the phone." That phone call lasted approximately 30 seconds. My average phone call to a vendor or to an agent lasts on average between 15 and 20 minutes. That's the average phone call. So you've got to be prepared to hear some no's, but once you get through the no's, guess what comes after no's? Yes. Because you've got to give yourself time to build yourself as the authority, as the person to speak to. Does that make sense? If you can, just are you finding this useful? Have I gone completely off the plot, and have I gone completely out on a limb here? If you can let me know, that'd be great. So far, only Frankie said yes. This is interesting. Okay. 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 Brilliant. So everyone's saying yeah, this is definitely useful. Okay. Brilliant. Because remember, an agent's not going to sell you something below market value or offer the stuff that you want or put it to what you're after within the space of 20 seconds. You need to listen to them. You need to understand what it is that they're after. And within that 15 minutes, guess what? The longer you keep them on the phone, the more comfortable they come with you. The more comfortable they become with you, the more information they give you. The more information you give you, the more chances are that you can put together an offer which is going to work with the vendor and the agent. So what is a deal? What's your idea of a deal? Is it buying something below market value? Is it buying a property in need of renovation? Is it something that is already income producing? Is it something producing a good ROI, which is return on investment? Is it something which has got a good potential of capital growth? Or is it something that is sustainable, so it's going to last the length of time? Now, believe it or not, going back to the one-trick pony, why did you choose one? Remember, properties in London are not going to be cash cows. They're not going to be the ones producing cash flow. They're going to be the ones appreciating in capital value. The ones in Hull, Manchester, Doncaster, and all the properties up north, because they're a low value, naturally they're going to produce cash flow. So again, you don't need to choose one. Why don't we look for them all? The key is adding value. What does value look like to you? Is it cash flow? Is it discount? Is it ROI? Is it capital growth? And this is where you've got to add value. Now, who would be the best? Is this you? Now, I always said that the best deal sources are the ones that are able to think outside the box. And that's why I think I'm the best deal source in the UK. No questions asked. The amount of deals that I do in comparison to everyone else is inimaginable. And I'll talk to you about a platform that I've created that is going to disrupt the property market and that you guys should also download tonight. So intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. So Frankie says, how do you keep the conversation going? Now, Frankie, one thing I'll say is don't just pick up the phone to the agent and say, you know what, boom, you've got this property, it's 100 grand, I'm offering you 70. Believe it or not, I don't actually talk about the property for the first 5 or 6 minutes. I talk about the agent, understanding how their day's been, talking about, have they had much success, how many completions they've got going through. There's so many things. I won't talk about the property for 5 minutes. Unless they're a really busy agent, say, Arsh, okay, let's get to the point, what you're after. That's when you talk about the property. It's all about preparation. More importantly, there's no such thing as a script. Anyone that tells you that there's a script, fortunately, is lying. Think of it from the estate agent's point of view. If you call the estate agent and you're reeling off a script, how many times do you reckon they've heard that script? Because there's only so many things that you can put on that script, because you're trying to get to a desired action, which is to either view or make an offer on that property, which means that the script is the same of hundreds of other people who've got the same script. However, one thing that I like to do is call it conversational-led negotiations. So like we're doing today, we're having a conversation. We're talking about random stuff, and as a result, we're trying to get people warm. As a result of trying to get people warm, we're trying to get them to take action. So intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. You have to adapt to change. You have to be able to adapt to the conversation. You don't need any money to get started, believe it or not. And the reason why I say this, and I'm very open and I'll say this, is because you're not buying the house. You don't need the money for deposits, solicitors, surveyors, refurbs. Some sourcing techniques are actually completely free. Other sourcing techniques may cost less than a family meal out. So there may be some scenarios where you may need to spend a little bit of money, but generally speaking, we're not talking thousands of pounds. We're not even talking hundreds of pounds. So there's no risk because you don't own anything, therefore nothing can go wrong. You're not dealing with tenants, you're not dealing with management, you're not dealing with tenants, you're not dealing with property management, which means that you're not dealing with maintenance, which means that you're not dealing with letting agents. That's why you can scale to such a level within a very short space of time. So trading time for money. Now here's one of the guys that I always talk about on one of these webinars. So on screen at the moment is a young gentleman called Raheel. Raheel Jakura is actually based in Saudi Arabia, and he's a mechanical and procurement engineer, and he works on short-term contracts. Now, as an expat working abroad, he earns a large salary due to the antisocial nature of his work. Being in a foreign country away from his extended family and friends, he works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So he works 72 hours a week, which is a lot. It's fair to say that he doesn't have a lot of free time. His wife and 2 kids are with him in Saudi, so that he needs to make time for them and time to build a UK property-based business. Raheel wants to break his trading time for money. So this is his reason why. He wants to create a secure financial future for his kids. He wants to have time to be with his kids and the money to support them in every possible way. And he's prepared to make a sacrifice now to build a better future for himself and his family. So with all this in mind, living in Saudi Arabia, he can't go direct to vendors because he can't put out leaflets or can't write letters because it will cost a fortune to send from Saudi Arabia. So his only angle really to source property is to work exclusively with estate agents because he can't view the property and he can't negotiate the price with the vendor. So he's been finding properties on portals such as Rightmove, Zoopla, Gumtree, and lots of other property platforms. And within a short space of 3 months, Raheel traded 15 deals and made 15 grand in sourcing fees. In actual fact, he made 30 grand, but he did a 50-50 JV with me, and we'll talk about that shortly. He didn't have any bank of investors, so we used my investors. Every deal was listed with an estate agent I found online, following the same system that I've given you tonight. And Raheel hasn't physically viewed a single property. It's impossible for him to do because he's actually based in Saudi Arabia. His secret is very simple. He looks for deals across the entire country. He's of the mindset that he isn't going to live in them. He's of the mindset that he isn't going to view them. And so he's of the mindset, why would he limit himself or his search to just one area? So what he does, he scours the entire country. He focuses on one region at a time for a week before moving into a different area. He systematically works through different regions, and once he's covered the entire country, he will do it again. So first property that we've got on the screen here is property in Stoke-on-Trent. It's a 6-bed HMO producing just over 23,000. Purchase price was 140 grand. We charged a 5 grand sourcing fee as a result of that because it was fully occupied. It's got professional tenants in. And we sold this back in 2017 because I've been working with Rahul just over 2 years now. And he's done multiple deals. We're talking circa 50 deals. And he's done this all from being in Saudi Arabia. Second property he found on Gumtree. The agent took the pictures and created the floor plan. The agent negotiated with the vendor. The deal was sold to my database. And it was all sourced and negotiated and sold from the comfort of his sofa in Saudi Arabia. Now, he joined the Elite Property Tribe back in Jan 2017, and he's still with me today. He sold his first deal on the 17th of Feb, so within a month for a 5 grand fee. Now, the only barrier to entry is your determination and the ability to make a better life for yourself and your family. Success is almost guaranteed if you follow a proven system and you take committed action. So what does this mean? Now, we've talked about estate agents all throughout the session. Estate agents actually need your help because properties won't sell themselves. Homeowners will need your help as they may have previously been let down by estate agents. You've got to remember what a motive is of the agent. Estate agents make commissions from selling properties. The more properties they sell, the more commission they will make. They want to sell as many houses as possible. They want to sell houses as quickly as possible. They want to sell them as easily as possible. They just want to make their commission. And when they have tied properties, the market of buyers or homeowners will struggle to buy that property to a first-time seller, first-time buyer. So the simple process that I've created is source, package, and sell. I call it SPS. First, step one is the number of ways of sourcing properties. So you can either deal with estate agents, deal with letting agents, estate agents for properties below market value, etc. Letting agents for setting up rent-to-rents or lease options. You've got auctions, so auctions are full of motivated sellers. You've got online platforms such as Gumtree, Spare Room, etc. You've got other sources, so other deal sources around the country selling deals that they may not have been able to sell. And then finally, you've got direct to owner. 90% of the properties in the UK are actually sold through estate agents in the UK. So they can actually become your unpaid sales force because they do all the hard work for you. They take the pictures, they view the property, they actually do the viewing with the investor, and they also create all the floor plans and everything. They need your help shifting their properties that don't appeal to their target market, which is home buyers. Once you earn their trust, they'll call you before anyone else and before they've advertised it. So one thing I will say to you is that you need to move your mindset away from the fact that price is always the main factor when selling a property. So has anyone on this webinar ever been in a scenario where they're going through some relationship issues and the one thing that's tying you to the property is in actual fact the property that you live in? You both want to sell it. You both want to go your own ways. However, the property is on the market, it's not selling. So what do you do? Would you be prepared to sell at any price just to move away? I've come across this. So people automatically assume that financial hardship is the most common reason or the most common way to find below market value deals. I can say that over the last 5 years, I believe I've only probably dealt with 1, maybe 2 repossession cases. Most of the motivation is all about different things, like they may be upscaling, they may be downscaling, they may be moving closer to family, they may be moving abroad, they may be moving to different parts of the country, they may have lost their job, probate cases, so someone's passed away in the family. Debt and divorce is a massive one. So in actual fact, financial hardship is actually a very small percentage of the amount of stock that we find. So I'm going to, in a second, introduce a young lady. Her name is Arsh Ellahi. And the reason why I'm bringing her in on this live today is because she is living proof. So this is my wife, by the way, guys. So
hi everyone.
So Shireen is, so if you can just stay, if you can move into this. So Shireen is my partner in crime, wife, mother to my children, and we've been together, 10 years. We'll be 10 years this month. Tough, you can see, in 10 years I've lost a lot of hair, put on a lot of weight, do stupid challenges like run 100-mile bike rides. So Jen says hi. So this is my wife. This is my reason why. So Krisha says she's beautiful. Krisha, leave her alone. Her husband's sitting here. So okay. So this is my reason why. This is the reason why I do everything that I do. So I brought her online tonight because Shireen's going to share a bit of her story. And now Shireen isn't. No, I'll tell you what. I won't interject any further. What I'd like to do, Scott says, punching you, Arsh.
You can come again, Scott. Nice one, thank you.
So you can say thank you. You know, something. Oh, what can I say? Now I've opened a can of worms. So okay, so Shireen, if you can let everyone know who is Mrs. E.
Okay, so I think from the age of 5, I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher. I'd gone to university, studied, gone to do a teaching degree, had a really successful career. Met Arsh, and I'd sort of worked abroad, worked internationally, came back to the UK, got some quite senior posts, and when we started to have children, I'd realised that my priorities had changed. As much as I was very ambitious, and I always wanted to be a head teacher one day. I think having children really changed me and really changed my priorities in life, and I felt as though my role as a deputy didn't give me that opportunity to spend as much time as I wanted with the children, etc. And as you've seen from Arsh, he lives a very hectic life. He's constantly on the go, and it just naturally worked out that I felt as though I needed to dedicate more of my time to the children. So I went back to work part-time and felt I wasn't doing a good enough job being a teacher. And my ultimate goal of wanting to be a head teacher one day, I just thought, I'm not going to accomplish this if I'm part-time. So I went back up to full-time hours, and I couldn't cope. It was, teaching was incredibly hard. I was coming home, getting home for sort of 6 o'clock some days, putting the girls to bed. I'd have 20 minutes and then I'd have a stack of 60 books to mark. Every Sunday evening, I'd have to say to Arsh, just pop a movie on. I'm just going to get this ready for next week. I'm just going to do that. So I pretty much had no work-life balance at all. I was moody, I was miserable. But I'm not a quitter. I don't like to quit. And I didn't ever want to admit that it was difficult, and I wasn't enjoying it. I just felt like it was teaching was all I knew. I hadn't ever done anything else. Arsh had approached me probably about 4 or 5 years ago and said, do you want to start investing together? And I said, no, I don't know anything about property. No, I can't. He said, look, I can help you and I can coach you through it. I said, I just can't do it. It's just not me. I don't know enough about it. So I'd never really sort of done that. And then it got to a point of where I'd heard a quote on a podcast, and it had said, nobody goes to their deathbed wishing they'd spent another day at work. Everybody wants to spend time with their children and spend time with their families. And that really kind of hit home to me that what I was doing wasn't working. So I quit work. It really knocked my confidence because I felt useful and I felt like I had purpose and I had a real sort of a part to play in school life, and I was making a difference. But I knew my priorities had changed, and so I quit. And all of a sudden I had all this time. I was at home. I didn't feel as though I was being useful. It really did knock my confidence, and I just I really struggled, I think, at that point in my life. And And I got to a point of where I just thought, this is it now. Every day, this is the same thing. I get up, I drop the kids off at school, I come home, I tidy the house. This is my life. This is my life for the next 30, 40, 50 years. You know, most people get to this point when they're in their 60s and, you know, they can kind of wind down a little bit. I was like, I'm 35 and I'm doing this. How is this happening? And then Arsh said, I've come across a deal and I want to take it on, but I can't do it by myself. Would you mind having a look? And I said, I'm not into property. I can't do it. I realised like I could talk myself out of a winning lottery ticket. I talked myself out of it. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And he said, just have a look. You know, let's go and visit. Let's have a look at it. Let's see what you think. And I think as soon as we walked into the place, it was a done deal, wasn't it? It just felt right. I thought, yeah, okay. So we got to the point of where we'd sort of agreed it's going to work for us. And he said, and Arsh had said, there's only one thing, I can't manage it because I haven't got the time. You would need to lead on it. And my immediate response was, no, I don't know enough about property. Because I think I come from the school of thought where I need to read a book on it. I need to join a course. I need to, do all of my homework. I always felt like I needed like a bank of knowledge behind me before I took on anything because, I come from a school of thought of where you have to be very book smart. And over the years, I've always seen Arsh do things where he's always said yes. And even though he doesn't know it, he always says, but I'll get to know it. I might not know it right now, but I'll pretty much know it by, the end of the week. I'll know how to find out about it. So he made me take on a serviced accommodation. I know nothing about property. I didn't take part in any of our mortgage stuff or we bought our house. I genuinely hadn't done anything.
Okay, so guys, just so that you know, so Shireen's talked to us about service accommodation. So deal with this one was that we found a property that was on Rightmove. It was on the market. It was in Cornwall. So we said that we would potentially like a second family home in Cornwall. We found this property in Cornwall, which kind of ticked a lot of the boxes. And so I approached the approached the owner. I approached the owner direct, and I found him in Tokyo. And as a result, he was quite relieved to speak to us because been on the market for quite a few months. And being in Tokyo, you can't manage the property, you can't let it, and he just wanted a solution. So what in actual fact, I proposed to him a lease option. So a lease option where we leased it with the option to purchase. We agreed a 10-year period. So the rent is slightly incrementing between the two parts. So first 5 years is one figure, second part is a second figure. And as a result, we agreed a guarantee rent and we acquired the property for, in actual fact, £1. Now, when I told Shireen this, I said, Shireen, if we can acquire it and we want to do this, will you do it for me? When I say I want to do it for me, it's not do it for me. This is your project. This is your baby. I don't want to hear about it. All I want is you to crack on with it and deal with it.
I think you'd always said, if you have a problem, I'll come to me. I can help you, but I'll let you find it. I'll let you deal with it. And I think that's kind of how it started, isn't it?
Yeah. So we acquired the property for £1. And we acquired it so that he's in Tokyo. We're paying a set rent over a certain period of time. We've created the option to purchase in there. And now, just to give you an example, we're paying the landlord approximately, between, I think it's about £800 a month. However, now I said to Shireen that, so not only will we utilise the lease option strategy, I said to Shireen that I'd like the flexibility to be able to go there as and when we like, so we can use it as a free second home. But I need to make sure that it covers the outgoing. So we looked at all the angles. And it was clear that the best strategy for it, given the location, was service accommodation. So Shireen, do you want to tell them a little bit about the area and who it attracts?
Yeah, previously it was on with quite a big company. It was pretty much rented out all through the summer. When we went down, we felt as though it wasn't to the standard that we wanted it. We wanted something a little bit funkier, some quite coastal living, but not typical of a Cornish property. So And to be in all honesty, it would have been rented out as it was in its original form without any issues. But we wanted to put our stamp on it. So we spent a couple of days. We took, our builders down, revamped the whole property. This is the final product.
So all of the property gone fully furnished, so we didn't buy any new furniture or anything like that. All we're doing is we put some soft furnishings in place and made it look a little bit fresher. And as a result, now it's let on a service accommodation basis, so it's let on a night-by-night basis, and it's fully occupied for May, June, July, August, and parts of September.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so and that has allowed Shireen, and so I don't touch any of the income from that, by the way, guys. So I said to Shireen, this is her, this is all her, because she's given up a lot to be with me. She's given up a lot to be with me, so she's given up a whole career to be with me, and that's pretty much replaced her income from a property that we don't own, with a lady with no property experience.
And I think another thing was I was always nervous about the fact that, I can't just pop in and go and sort something. Everything we do is remotely. We've been there. We went one weekend to go and take all the furnishings down. Since then, everything for me, my cleaning team, everything happens on WhatsApp. It happens over the internet. I have all the processes in place to send people all the details, all how to get in, how to do everything. I've got somebody on the ground there, and it's been. I'm amazed at how simple it has been and how quick a lot of things happen. We went and visited it in January. We had our first booking. We did it up a little bit in Feb. First booking March.
Yeah.
So we're making money from March onwards. So it's been a lot easier than I thought. I think I'd always built up what property developers are as these sort of, hotshots that know everything and, have got all of the things. But what I realised, it's somebody that's sort of driven. If you can research, if you can Google, if you can find out, if you can sort of join, like one of the things that Arsh did was recommended people that I could speak to that knew a lot about serviced accommodation, and it was just a case of picking up the phone and just going, okay, I've got this issue, can you let me know? Or as part of a group, and there's loads of Facebook groups that were able to help, and people, owners groups and things like that. So, and that's where it kind of went on, and anything that I didn't know, I Googled, or I was put in touch with somebody that could help me. And I thought Arsh was just being extra nice to me because I'm his wife, but I don't think it was that. I think he does this because he does this with a lot of people. It's just natural to him. He mentors and he's well connected. So it's been a really easy transition into that. I think moving forward, we've done one and it's done incredibly well. There's always now potential of looking in other cities and just running a very similar model.
So what we're looking for now is looking for more properties in areas that we want to go and stay in. So I went to university in Cheltenham, Shireen went to university in Worcester. So I think Cheltenham or somewhere within the Cotswolds region would be a fantastic location. So we're on the hunt for property number 2. So Shireen has got number 1 pretty much wrapped up. Shireen has got pretty much property number 1 wrapped up. On average, how many hours a week does it take you?
At the start of the month, I update my spreadsheets, and that takes me half an hour, if that. I WhatsApp the cleaning team at the start of the month with the dates for that week, for that month. Doesn't take me long at all. I use my online calendars, and Arsh and I both have access to them, so we can see when we have bookings, and everything's in place. So bookings come in. I have to do very little.
Genuinely, I don't look at the calendar. Sorry, I don't look at the calendar. But anyway, but so there we have it, guys. So Shireen is a lady that has had a corporate background pretty much all of her life, and as a result, I said to her, "This is your baby. You can do this. You can do this." And as a result, she has taken it and she's grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and she's run with it. And as a result, we've acquired a property with literally £1. Now, Shireen's renting it out. Do you mind if I just disclose roughly the kind of ballpark as to what it rents out? Rents out for the best part of £1,900 a week.
In the summer.
In the summer, so that's.
Or we'll offer you a discount if you fancied shameless plug now. But it's called Tincroft Cottage, and do Google us, and if you fancy staying, just drop us drop us a message.
Yeah, so in peak season it's about £1,900 a week. Off peak it's roughly around what, 1,200? Yeah, so about 1,200. So, and remember, we're paying the landlord approximately £800 a month. So we only need to be booked 1 week in a month. So yeah, so brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you. So there's my wife. She's it's the first time ever she's been on a webinar with me. It's the first time ever that she's made a public appearance about a property thing. When I say property thing, talks about anything to relate to property. It's not, it's not something that she's comfortable with. She does what she does, and she does it extremely well. So let's keep moving forward. Okay, so as it says, how on earth did you find the property, the owner, especially in Hong Kong? Okay, guys, I'll come back to that shortly. So if you guys are deal sources, I've got this app. I've launched it on the app stores. It's called Property Investor. Now it's available on Apple. It's also available on Google Play, and you can literally download that and you can see all the deals that we've got available at the moment. More importantly, we're opening it out to deal sources. So if you're a deal source and you want to get your properties on there, get in contact with us. What I would suggest is, if you can, download it tonight, and let's have a play with it and go from there. So you can see it's available. We've got we've got an iPad app, we've got iPhone app, we've got the smart tablets and smartphones. And again, you can find it on the App Store and you can find it on Google Play. So what did we do in 2019? We're on target to do approximately 500 deals this year. The average sourcing fee around £5,000 each, which gives us a gross income of circa around £2.5 million, and that's no capital input into any deal. And all we're doing is source, package, sell. We're not acquiring any of them. Well, that doesn't include any of the properties that we're going to buy myself. So if there's any properties that I like and we keep, that's not included in that. Now, on 2020, with the new introduction of the app, we're going to look to do circa 1,000 deals, which with the average fee is going to be circa £5,000. Excuse me. That's going to give us a gross income of circa £5 million. So again, no capital import into any deal. Source, package, and sell. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Remember, I'm an action taker. I don't talk about it, I just go and do it. Today, went off and just rode 100 miles on the bike. People would have talked me out of it. People would have talked about it for ages. Oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I may do it next year. I might do it the year after. Screw that. Let's do it today. Jumped on the bike. And there are times where I found it tough, and there are times that I wanted to quit, but I won't quit. And I've got a big saying that winners don't quit and quitters don't win. And I'm not a quitter. I'm a winner. And I make sure that everyone around me adapts the same mindset. Mindset's a massive thing for me, and the reason why I say that is that I want to be surrounded around people with a positive mindset. So there's times where I was cycling today, and I was swearing to myself, saying, "What the bloody hell am I doing this?" And a lady cycled past me, fair play to her, she was approximately around 60, and she says, PMA, positive mental attitude, and straight away it switched, boom. I said, you know what, that's all I needed to hear. PMA, positive mental attitude. So I'm going to tell you about a little program. So there's a program called the Elite Property Tribe. So it's a 52-week online training program, which I host and I run myself personally. So everything that you see and hear is from me. So we look at all the different cash flow strategies. So all the strategies that we look at tonight, all the strategies that we go through over a 52-week period in great detail. Deal trading, rent to rent, lease options, HMO, service accommodation, commercial to residential. You're given everything that you need to succeed with each of the 6 cash flow strategies. So you get all the contracts, you get all the checklists, you get the profit calculator spreadsheets, and you get all the proven templates. And what we're offering, what is different about the Elite Property Tribe is that I'm not asking you to come on a weekend workshop and just come and spend a weekend with me. I want you to spend 52 weeks with me, which means that every webinar, every Monday night between 7 and 9, we run a webinar on one of the strategies. And we go through it in immense detail so that you know everything about it. First thing I want to do is strip your mind and let's build this PMA, so that you're in this indestructible mindset to what I have. More importantly, I'm with you every step of the way. All you have to do is follow the steps and what I say to the T. What I've created is bulletproof. When I say bulletproof, I've been doing it for 20 years. So it's not like I learned it last week and we're teaching it today. It's a mentorship and an accountability program. I'm always on the end of the phone. So it's not like I'm training someone and going to get them to teach you. I'm the person that's on the end of the phone. You'll have my personal mobile number. Anytime you run into a roadblock, you pick up the phone. So we've got structured call lists. So between 10 and 1, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday to Friday, you can book a call with me. You've got to tell me in advance what we're talking about. So if it's a property, I need you to send me the details so I can quickly have a look at it. So we're not spending the first 5 minutes talking about what is it and where is it. I'll have all the information. So literally pick up the phone and say, so let's just say, for argument's sake, Babneet. So say Babneet books a call. I say, Babneet, okay, I've seen the deal. Here's what we need to do. And here's how we're going to monetize it. At the start of the program, you'll be given a 52-week learning journal where you write down all your tasks and outcomes. I want to see what you've set up for the week, see how many calls you're going to make, who you're going to speak to, and then I want you to list every phone number that you call. I want you to list every single person that you speak to. I want you to list all the notes of what happened in that phone call. I want you to list what the following action has to be. You'll also be allocated an EPT buddy for daily accountability. So what's on offer is a weekly training in Q&R webinar for 1 year, access to an online platform. So it's elitepropertytribe.co.uk. If you go to the website elitepropertytribe.co.uk, it's not actually going to do anything because you need a login detail to get in. So it's going to give you access to a platform which has got all the webinar recordings for the last 3 years, just in case you've missed one of the events. And it allows you to also, I do this thing called a shadowing day. So I'm quite generous with my time. So there's a couple of days in the week that I say, you know what, if anyone wants to, they can come and spend the day in the office with me, where you can sit opposite me, you can listen to my calls, I can listen to your calls, and I can pick you up and say, you know what, I didn't like what you said there. That's not going to materialize. Here's what we need to do to make this better. So all the EPT members have the ability to do this. So on the screen here is a guy called Karam. His first shadowing day, which he joined on Thursday, the 3rd of January 2019. So earlier this year, we do 2 intakes, January and June. So no deal trading, all sourcing experience. He found a 4-bedroom house in Liverpool. He was negotiated on 6 lease options as a lease option in Doncaster. And all from my office with clear guidance. Now, normally, if you come and do a one-on-one day with me, you're looking at the best part of £1,500 plus VAT. So Babneet says, Arsh, upon joining, do we have instant access to these webinars? Absolutely. So if you join today, once I'm in the office tomorrow and get you logged in, get all your details up, you'll have those pretty much straight away. So this 3 years worth of webinars. So you're looking at the best part of 300 webinars that you can go through. All the documents, so my lease option documents, my rent-to-rent documents, my HMO documents. You got access to my power team, so my solicitor, my accountant, my mortgage broker, and everyone that you need to make your journey a success. On top of that, we also meet up once every quarter with keynote speakers. So the next one is the 22nd of June, I believe it's in Birmingham. We've got 3 very good speakers. You get access to my proven leaflets, magazine, adverts, and 3-part letters. You get to, and now this is one of the big benefits. Now, anyone that's the EPT member, Elite Property Tribe member, you actually get to JV with me. So if you find a deal and you haven't got your own investor database because it may be something that you're starting up, you can send it to my investor database where we do a 50-50 split on the fee. Does that make sense? So in actual fact, I'm saving your workload to 50%. So my team will field the calls, my team will get the buyer. As a result, all you got to do is make sure that the seller sells, I'll make sure that the buyer buys, and we move forward. You get access to my power team. More importantly, you get access to a thriving community. So I've got a WhatsApp group called the Elite Property Tribe, and every day there's hundreds of messages in there. It's quite overwhelming, admittedly, but you get hundreds of messages in there so that you guys can actually see what other people are doing as well, and you can discuss directly with other investors. I'll be showing you how to build lasting relationships with investors as well so that they become repeat customers. I've got lots of investors that buy off me weekly because the stock that we sell is that good. There's no, it's worth 100 grand, but in reality, it's actually only worth 80. We do all the correct due diligence, and I'll show you how to do that. So we've got a full 52-week agenda. I'll be showing you, as you'll see on the platform, exactly what we're covering that week. Sometimes we may deviate away from it. So I'm doing a webinar tomorrow. When I say webinar, with the EPT members, after the bike session today, in actual fact, I'm going to do a whole mindset webinar with them tomorrow, so that we can keep moving that forward with PMA. Excuse me. As I said, we give something called the Elite Property Tribe Learning Journal. So in that journal, it is literally a journal for you to make all the notes. And every week, I want you to upload what you've done, so that I can see what you've done. I can see what you've done. I can see how many people you called. And then if you turn around and say, Arsh, you know, it's not working for me, I can have a look at your journal and say, you know what, let me have a look. How many people have you spoken to this week? Let me see, who have you called? So there is accountability. And if you haven't called anyone and you wanted to fall on your lap, this is not the journey. I want people to take action. I want people with a positive mindset. I want people with a positive outlook. And I want people to be accountable for their actions. And we're starting 30 deals in 30 days. I'm throwing you straight in at the deep end. On Monday, the 3rd of June, we're starting and we're doing 30 deals in 30 days. So we're going to do a 2-day intensive. We're going to do a 2-day intensive, so I can give you an overview of what all the strategies are. As a result of doing the 2-day intensive, you're going to be able to go out, speak to all agents and tell them exactly who you are and what you're all about. And yeah, as a result, get deals done. So the 2-day intensive, the dates to be confirmed, I think it's going to be 22nd and 23rd of June. What to look for, where to look, how to quickly appraise, how to package and how to sell. So the cost of the Elite Property Tribe, in actual fact, the full price of it is £6 grand for the year. However, I'm the only person in the UK that tells you that you don't have to pay the full amount. You pay 50% of that, which covers the cost of me running the program, which is £3 grand. And then the other 3,000 is only payable if you do deals. So I'm actually saying that you only pay the other half of it if you're successful. That's how confident I am with the content that we create. And there's also an option, if you can't afford the £3 grand upfront in one payment, you can pay it over 3 payments, 3 monthly installments, if that helps you. So all you've got to do, and finally, one thing that I say is that we've got a full money back guarantee, so the 100% money back guarantee. So here's how it works. So if you join the EPT and you participate in the weekly webinars, if for any reason you aren't completely satisfied after 30 days, send me your email and I'll give you a full refund. No questions asked, no hassles, no forms to fill out, no problems at all. So to join the EPT, all you've got to do is go to either elitepropertytribe.co.uk or bit.ly/EPT, so Echo Papa Tango in capital letters 2019. And the first webinar starts on Monday, the 3rd of June. Now, one of the guys that I'm quite fortunate to work with is a guy called Ashley Walker. So Ashley joined the EPT in Feb 18, so he's been there a year. And within the space of a year, he did 4 deals. Now, 4 deals may not sound a lot, but in actual fact, when you work on the basis that he generated in excess of 20 grand's worth of fees, he did that whilst holding down a full-time job. And he also purchased, so he did 4 deals. So he did 3 rent-to-rent deals, 1 in Wolverhampton, 1 in Birmingham, 1 in Coventry. And also, he sold a HMO in Birmingham, and which is the most important part is that he purchased his own buy-to-let, no money down, talking about the strategy that we talked about earlier, for his future. Cost him nothing to acquire that property. I could talk to you about people that we've worked with, for days, weeks. Russell is a guy that's based in Marbella. He learned to source back in 2017. In February, he sold his first deal for 3 grand. Well, February 2017, he sold his first deal for 3 grand. He's sourced in excess of 50 properties, and he's doing this whilst in Marbella. So in January 2019 alone, he did 2 deals within the first week. So he's gone and sold a number of deals. Now, my question to you is that, do you think you can do this? Any of the people that I've spoken to you about tonight, any different to you? No one's different to anyone. If someone says that you're not as good as someone else, you're in the wrong circle. All they've done is that they've put their doubts aside for long enough to give this a try at no risk to them. And what they've achieved is unbelievable results, in most of them in just under 1 month. Results that have been able to replicate month after month. Imagine never having to do a day's work for anyone else. Imagine no more boss. Imagine no more commuting. Imagine no more teachers. No having to teach, having to answer to someone. You're accountable to yourself. You decide when you work. You decide what parents' evenings you go to. You decide the nativity place that you go to. Imagine having a business that fits around your family. Commitment so that you never have to miss the kids' plays, concerts, or sports matches. Because, like I said, what I'm offering you is a 52-week program that works around all that. And you get to join a supportive community of positive, mentally attitude people who will force you to succeed. So I'm going to leave that up there now. We've got a couple of minutes, so I'm going to answer some of the questions. If you've got a question, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, please ask the question. So let's go through a question. So one of the questions, Azu said, how on earth did you find the owner, especially in Hong Kong? Believe it or not, Azu, is quite easy. Because in actual fact, what we did, I don't mind telling you this actual fact. So I found him on land registry. And as a result of Googling his name, I found that he's actually quite high-end, working within the banking sector. And I found him on the company website. Company website then led me to his email and his mobile number. I sent him a quick email and he responded within the day. Very, very straightforward. Took all in all about 30 minutes to find him. So very, very straightforward. Okay. Right, so Frankie says, do you think agents are more open to rent in London? Believe it or not, Frankie, because they've heard it so much. Okay, so Shreen has asked me a question. She's in the other room. She goes, I've got a question. She goes, what's your next physical challenge? So can you see, she's bullying me into doing another challenge. Next physical challenge is a full Ironman, which is a 2.5 mile swim, followed by 140 mile bike ride, followed by 26.2 mile run, one after the other within the same day. So that's the next challenge. Might do that next week, actually. No, I won't. There's one actually coming up in July. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in July yet. Okay. Okay, so Sarita said, how did you get a hold of the guy in Tokyo? Like I said, I found him on land registry. His land registry told me his name and his UK address. As a result of that, I then Googled him. I then found him as a banker, and he's based there. He was with HSBC, he's based at the Tokyo office. That gave me his email address, and I emailed him from there. But believe it or not, that's quite straightforward. As Shreen says, Google is your friend. Google is your friend. So Frankie says, can you do rent to rent in different regions? Absolutely. Remember, Frankie, one thing I'll say to you is that, remember, you don't have to keep every property that you source. You might turn around and say, you know what, Arsh, I like the look of this one, but in actual fact, I like the look of this one, but I'm only going to source it and pass it on. So as a result, you can pass any property on all over the country. So Frankie, let's have a quick look. Do you think I've answered that question? Okay. So Crucia says, I can find some BMV deals in London, but I don't know how to position myself with no cash and how to work with estate agents and auction houses. I'm viewing a house tomorrow. How do they know that you've got no cash? Are you saying, hi, my name's Crucia. I've seen that you've got property, but I've got no cash to buy, so don't talk to me. How do they know that you've got no cash? Unless you're actually telling them, as far as they're concerned, you're a cash-rich investor. Does that make sense? So play the game. How many times have you heard an investor say, guys, I'm a cash buyer? When in actual fact, what happens is that they need a mortgage like everyone else. All they're doing is they're playing the game. They're using the cash buyer to be able to negotiate the deal and get a better deal. When in actual fact, a survey happens and they're a property buyer, they're the mortgage, they're buying with a mortgage. I see it every day. With the introduction of the app, we're seeing more and more deals come online. We're seeing more and more investors. Remember, as being part of the app. Okay, so being part of the app, we're now open to a worldwide audience. So Babnit says, Arsh, prior to doing deals with you, we need to be compliant, and what is the cost? Okay, great question. Yes, all deal sources need to be compliant. So there's a couple of things that you need to do. You need to get some insurances in place. You need to be registered with the FCA. So on average, it costs around £700, between £700 and £800 for the year, and that is renewable every year. But one thing I will say to you, don't concentrate on bringing the business in first. Let's not concentrate on spending a shed load of money on trying to do this, that, and the other. You know, let's look at it from a point of view. Let's make the business pay for itself. Get compliant on the first deal, on the money off the first deal that you do. So Jeff says, hi, how do you find the owner if they're only registered at the property or the property is not registered at HMLR? Okay, that's a great question, Jeff. Because in actual fact, what you'll have to do there is use local knowledge. Someone somewhere on that street will know where that owner lives. So so the question that Jeff asked is that, just imagine that you're looking at property number 123 AB Street, number 123 ABC Street. Jeff has gone onto Land Registry, and instead of the owner putting their correspondence address, they've put the same address where the property is. So what you need to do is use local knowledge, and generally speaking, the person that will know will be one of the next door neighbours or someone on that street that will know who the vendor is and where they live. Unfortunately, there's no other way. And once we've got a name, we can potentially locate them via somewhere like LinkedIn, etc. Yeah. So pretty much answered all the questions. So can a simple system really do all this for you? Absolutely, because you've seen the success of Raheel alone, who has succeeded with all the odds stacked against him. And again, then you owe it to yourself to give this a try at no risk to you at all, because you're covered by my 100% money back guarantee. Let me invest in your future. Let me invest in your success. Let me help you have the life you deserve. And again, you join today, the full cost of it is £6,000, but you pay £3,000 up front, and then the other three paid once you do deals. For me, it's all about finding exceptional individuals that I can turn into the greatest deal sources in the UK. And when I put up an image, it's always the image of the guys from The Wolf of Wall Street. You ever watched the movie? I was really touched by that. And I want to create the army. I want to create the army. I want to get you guys out on the roads, finding stock, and as a result, everyone making money from it. So again, just recapping. You've got the weekly webinars, you've got the Q&A webinars, how to motivate, how to source, package and sell. You get access to our online portal, you get to JV with me, you get access to private Facebook group, you get access to private WhatsApp group, you get quarterly meetings, you get access to my power team, you get access to shadow me in the office, you get access to the EPT Learning Journal, and so much more. So if you can show me another program in the UK that gives you so much access to a person with so much knowledge on a variety of different strategies. Now, if you were to go to a different training company, they would want you to pay one fee for learning about service accommodation. They want you to pay another fee for another, and you could end up spending tens of thousands of pounds doing it. So you can see on screen at the moment the screenshot of the WhatsApp group. You can see a screenshot of the actual platform, and then in the platform we've actually got a blueprint. I've called it the EPT blueprint. So we've got lots of flow charts showing you all the different kinds of flow charts that we've got. So dealing with estate agents and vendors, dealing with rent-to-rent landlords, etc., etc. And then finally, don't forget to download the app. Don't forget to download the app. Now, so I think I'll kind of sign off by saying thank you. Today's been a tough day. It's been a mentally tough day and a physically tough day. want to thank you for taking the time to learn the secrets to deal trading. Hope you now understand that you can use this simple 3-step system to achieve your property cash flow goals. Does that kind of make sense? Are there any final questions before I sign off for the evening? Okay, so Jerome says, see you in June. Fantastic. So, okay, so Crucia says, brilliant. So Jerome says, yeah, I'm signing up, I'm ready. Okay, so Roger says, thanks, Arsh. Informative as always. Thank you very much, Roger. Are there any questions? Don't be afraid to get in contact. On the screen right now are my contact details. So for the guys that are on Facebook, etc., you can see there. So if you've got any more questions, literally, all you got to do is take a screenshot of that. You've got my mobile number, you've got my email address, and you've got the website address, elitepropertytrial.co.uk. All you got to do is give me a call. If you want to know whether this is going to be the right program for you, feel free to come back to me and let's have a chat. And I'm very open and honest, and you know, if I don't think it's going to work for you, I'll say, you know what, this may not be the right program for you. Okay, so Junaid says, if I was part of the program, how often could I meet you face to face? So Junaid, you could book shadowing days in my office as many times as you want. It's got to work so that both diaries work. Just one thing that you've got to also bear in mind, Junaid, is that I've got to give everyone the opportunity to come to the office, and I'm very clear on that. I'm all about equal opportunity. Make sure that, you know, if no one else has booked in and Junaid says I want to come in again, that's cool. David, that came in last Thursday, he's coming in this Thursday because no one's booked in for this Thursday. So that's fine. So guys, on that note, okay, so Frankie says, how many spaces are there on the mentorship? So generally speaking, it's between 30 and 50, Frankie. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to need as many deal sources as possible to find more deals to service the app. The more deals that we get on the app. And just one thing I forgot to mention is that with the introduction of the app, I'm going to get estate agents contact me pretty much every day, give me stock. Now, there's only so much that I can do in a day. So any deals that come to me via estate agents, I'm actually circulating them through the Elite Property Tribe. And as a result, if you guys do the deal and make sure that it's all viable, and then we put it on the app, you get a split of that as well. So I'm actually paying you to be on the platform. I'm actually paying you to be on the program. Okay, so guys, on that note, I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been a great day. It's been a tough day, but all in all, a very productive day. Guys, if you take nothing away from tonight, nothing other than this from tonight's webinar, you deserve the life that you deserve the life that you want. All you've got to do is take the action. And as a result, okay, so take the actions and the results will pay. Sorry, it's late. So I completely forgot what I was going to say there, guys. So, okay, so Matt says, what's the app called? It's called Property Investor. It's on the Apple Store. It's on Google Play. Download it, and also if you could review it, that would be fantastic. Okay, so guys, on that note, I wish you all a very lovely rest of the evening. Have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great week ahead. And if there are any questions, feel free to come and ask, and I'll see what I can do to assist. Take care. Good night. God bless.